All right. So again, this is our first grade team. This is a picture of everyone. This is our PE coaches. This is their remind code if you guys would like to have their remind code. That way you can get messages from the PE coaches on how scholars are doing in PE. AR is in Miss Ramirez is in charge of AR. Our scholars have to do 15,000 words by the end of the year to become word masters, and then 1 million words to be a royal reader by the end of the year. If you need to know how to log in, these are the directions right here on the slide, and it also breaks down what they need to be doing for their word count. This is Miss Kylie. She's in charge of our attendance. She helps us whenever scholars are absent for doctor's appointments, if they're sick. You could give all that information to Miss Kylie and she would be able to put it into the system. If you have any enrollment questions, scheduling or withdrawal, that is all directed to Miss Kylie and she can help with any of those questions for you. This is our grading policy. This is an IDEA grading policy for submitted, sorry. For our first one, the assessment tests given after every completed lesson module will be counted 25% of their final grade. Students' grades entered in the grade book should be accurately reflection off of the level of mastery of each student. For formative grades, these are examples of exit tickets, homework, and do nows. They're entered in twice a week, and they're 75% of each scholar's final grade. How to help your scholars before tests. Getting a full night of sleep, eating a healthy breakfast, writing an encouraging note that they can open up in their lunchbox or in their backpacks, giving them time outside to play and exercise, and rewarding them even after tests are good ways to encourage your scholars to participate well and do good on their tests. Next we have is Ms. Lopez is going to go over our DI reading.
Hello, everyone. So for DI, it is very important, and I'm going to go over what it is about. So DI is direct instruction, and it is a highly structured instructional approach designed to accelerate the learning of students. Curriculum materials and instructional sequences attempt to move students to mastery at the fastest possible pace. So that idea, we have what's called college houses. So every college house works on different levels of reading based on each scholar's needs and focuses on helping them reach mastery. There's assessments that are also built into the program as means to ensure that all students are reaching mastery, to detect any student who might need extra help, and to identify students who need to be regrouped. Colleges perform reading checkouts every 5 lessons and mastery tests every 10 lessons. And these are graded as well to ensure that all students reach 100% mastery. So here's an example of DI reading independent work, the reading checkouts and mastery test. So on the first page, you do see what we have independent work, and scholars after every lesson of DI, they have these worksheets that are attached to the DI lesson, and it helps us to make sure they are understanding what the lesson was about. Then they start going into writing sentences and spelling, which is the second page that is in pink. And then the checkouts are the ones, the third page that is a story. And for example, on that checkout, they have to read 62 words per minute, and the limit of mistakes is 4 in order for them to pass that test. The last page is their mastery test, and that's the one that happens after every 10 lessons. So they have spelling, they go into reading us words, and then they go into reading us a story, and all this is graded as well. And here's another example. The examples that I was showing you is for a first grade program. Like I was telling you before, some scholars are placed into different groups, and we do have some scholars who are in kinder program, and our goal is to put them at mastery at the end of the year. So this is an example of the kinder program. They have their word attack, which is the page with the crayon. So they read this in class together, and then it goes into the story. For example, the one that I posted is the Pam and the Gold Robert part 2. And then it goes into them doing the worksheet, which is regarding the story. And then the same thing, they have a checkout. Their checkout is a little bit different. So as you can see, the words per minute here is 24 with only 2 mistakes.
Next, we have our science, and Miss Tipton will be going over science.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm Mrs. Tipton. I do teach science and social studies as well. Some of you might know me as the WIT teacher. This is just an overview of what our science curriculum will be. Students assume the role of sky scientists, helping a young boy named Sai who lives in a place near them in order to understand the anchor phenomenon of the unit, why the sky looks different to him than to his grandma when they talk on the phone. Students explore what the sky looks like during the daytime and the nighttime. By the end of the unit, the students will have constructed a deeper understanding of patterns in the sky, and they will be able to explain why the sun makes a pattern in the sky throughout the daytime and why we experience repeating cycles of daytime and nighttime. So in other words, it's about a little boy, and he always calls his grandma right before he goes to bed. And his grandma lives in a different place than he does. So his grandma's looking at a nighttime sky, and the little boy is looking at sunset. And this unit goes over as to why he sees the sun in a different spot than his grandma. This is a couple of examples of a do now, which would be on the top left-hand corner of your screen. It is what we have at the very beginning of our lessons. So our do now here is at lunchtime, where is the sun located at? And then right before dinner, where is the sun, or how is the sun looking like in the sky? So right here at lunchtime, the sun is straight up. And on the second answer, we have right before dinner, the sun goes down. And on the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, we have an example of an exit ticket. Now, this is just to check the understanding of the student of whether they understood the lesson or not. That's how we check to see if they might need a little more assistance or if we need to just go over the lesson again. And I will also be explaining wit and wisdom. Wit and wisdom is basically us teaching your scholars how to write. Now, the current book that we are on is Me, Jane by Patrick McDonald. And what we're going to be going over is how to write an informative paragraph. On the top left-hand side of your screen, we have our sandwich here, our topic sandwich chart. On the very top bun is a topic statement. In the middle with all the ingredients, we have facts and details. And then on the very bottom bun, we have conclusion. So we're teaching scholars how to put the informative paragraph together. And in the center of your screen, we're going to have one of our assignments that we will be doing, and it's showing them how to write a topic statement. So right here on the very bottom of that center sample is Jane watched birds making their nests. She watched spiders spinning their webs. She watched squirrels chase each other. Jane learned all that she could about animals. So as you can see, we have like an exemplar in the center as well. Jane loved to learn about all animals. Now, we're trying to encourage scholars to write because in second grade, they will be writing a lot more. And as obviously as they progress, they're going to be writing even more so after that. So what we are starting to do is we're trying to build their skill set on writing. And that's why it's so important whenever we do send out homework, because our assessments towards the end is more about what they can write. So even if they're just out and about, if you want to have them maybe write down some names at home, or maybe have them write down their favorite food, anything that they can do to write as a little practice, make it kind of fun at home. That would be very helpful as well. And then on your right-hand side of the screen, We just finished this one actually. They were choosing which one was the topic statement for this particular paragraph. It says Jane and Jubilee went into her grandma's kitchen coop. They hid behind some straw. They stayed very still. Jane and Jubilee saw the chicken lay the egg. Now, those two boxes in the middle of the handout are their choices. They either choose the first box, which says Jane wanted to play hide and seek, or Jane was curious about where eggs came from. This is also a very similar concept as the one for science where it's an exit ticket. This is one of their exit tickets and what they look like. Sometimes they write their own information down, their own answer for their exit tickets, and sometimes we have handouts like these where they circle them.
Next, we have Mr. Retta, who's going to go over math.
All right, hi, my name is Mr. Iveta. I'm one of the math teachers in Pod 2. I'm going over how a normal day in math looks like. We start with our application problem, which is on the left. And what the application problem goes over is it usually covers what we did the day before. So it's just to make sure we're retaining all the information and what we learned the day before. It's just a review. And then once we get to the problem set, which is on the right, that's what we're building on. That's the new stuff we're learning for that day. It's usually 2 pages, the problem set. I just only put 1. And on the problem set, as you could see, it starts with a lot of guidance. At the top, they did most of the work for the students. They just have to solve the problem. But then once you get towards the bottom, it's blank. And that's what they have to figure out all on themselves. What I do is I call on students to come onto the board. They'll show us how they did it. And if they're having a little bit of trouble, then I'll guide them some more. Once we finish both pages of our problem set, we'll get to our exit ticket. And the exit ticket is all on their own. Sometimes me or the other math teacher will give a hint or two if it's a really tough subject we're learning on. But most of the time, we just read the problem and they got to figure it out. And hopefully they retain it. If they don't, then we'll go over the exit ticket the next day and also over the application problem. Because like I said, the application problem is a review of the work from the day before. We haven't been sending homework for math just to, ease the pressure from all the homework that is sent home. But starting soon, we're going to start sending homework again. It'll be just like this one on the right. It's exactly the same of the lesson we went over that day. So as you could see on the right, it looks almost the exact same as the lesson on the problem set side. So if they do good during class and they're, retaining the information, they should be able to do it mostly on their own at home, but they might still need some guidance from you. And that's where we need as much support as we could get, because once they master it, they'll keep going and keep excelling in math.
So that is pretty much what we have for our curriculum night. If you guys have any questions at all, you can either come off mute or you can type it in the chat box and we can answer any of those questions for you. We had a question about whether you'll get notice of what your scholar is struggling. Absolutely. We do try to send messages to parents in regards to whether they didn't do well on a test. And that's normally how we really can see whether the scholar's not doing well, either exit tickets or tests. And then if they're not doing well in that subject, we'll send a message home. We do have some teachers who have started tutoring for reading and for wit as well. And then I believe math might be starting tutoring around the Christmas time, if not after Christmas, for any scholars who are struggling in that subject as well. Yes, writing homework will start back up again as well. We were really lenient on homework because we were trying to adjust our homework. We had some parents that felt like the homework was very overwhelming and there was a lot of it. So in the last couple weeks, we have been not giving a lot of homework. But as the year is going on, the work in the classroom is getting harder for them. And we just want to reinforce what they're learning in the classroom by sending homework home. So there will be homework for WIT. That's one of the ones that they need a lot of practice in because writing is something that they really need to work on. There also will be a fluency for reading with spelling words and math. We do not send homework home for science unless it's a review for a test. We have about 10 more minutes left of our meeting before it automatically ends. So if you guys have any more questions, please either come off mute or type it in the chat so we can answer them before it ends. I'm not seeing any more messages or anybody else coming off of mute, so I'm assuming that nobody else has any more questions. If you guys have any questions and you want to reach out, you can message any of your scholars homeroom teachers. They can send messages back. They can respond back to you on Remind. They do have 24 hours to respond back, and they normally respond within their work hours because a lot of times they have families as well. Oh, I do have a message here, sorry. That all depends for tutoring. So once they start tutoring, how long will tutoring last for? Generally, tutoring starts, so time frame wise, it would be from 4 to 5 o'clock. So it's about an hour long after school. But for time frame wise, it just would depend on how much extra time they need to work with those scholars. So whether the scholars need, extra time to go over the things that we've gone over to reinforce what they've been learning. But generally they have tutoring from this point all the way to the end of the year to where they do their blind exams at the end of the year. Oh, thank you. I have one that says not a question, but thank you to all the teachers. You appreciate it. Thank you. We are trying our best. We want to make sure that we can help you guys at home with your scholars and make sure we have that communication between all of us because it's really important. We want your scholars all to succeed. You're welcome. Thank you guys for coming out. I know we didn't have a lot of people on curriculum night, but we're going to also post the recorded version of this. And then that way everybody can see it and be able to go over the curriculum stuff that we went over. All right, well, it looks like that's all we have left. So we hope you guys have a good night. And if we don't talk to anybody before, you guys have a restful break and a good holiday next week.